Hey, what's up, boys? Today's another kind of just training practice match. We ended up hitting some directionals first, and warmed up serves, and got into playing a set. This day was only one set because it was about 92 degrees, probably closer to 100 on court, especially since we're playing on hard courts. So by the time we got to the set, I was a little gassed. And then early in that first set, I had a service game that lasted probably about 6 or 7 deuces, and that absolutely wiped me for the rest of the set. And I had to go into a little bit of, how do you say, like survival mode, because I was kind of tanked and my training partner had a lot more energy than I did, and I was down. Yeah, that service game I lost. I was broken, so I was down a break. So I had to really choose my battles. I had to choose which games that I was going to put the most energy in, which points I was going to put energy in. I really had to make pretty big business decisions. So because I knew if I screwed up maybe a game, or even just a game, I'm going to be completely depleted of energy, and I might go into my own service game with not enough energy to hold again. So I ended up breaking back and just focused on holding serve. There was nothing else in my head that I was like, okay, I'm not going to overextend myself on her serve, because I don't want to go into a service game without enough energy to be able to hold. So I was just waiting for her to kind of show me a little bit of like maybe a double fault on her service game, or kind of just waiting for her to do a couple maybe missteps on her serve, and then be able to tell myself, okay, I smell a little blood in the water. Let me use a little bit more energy to maybe convert this and get a break point, because I feel like I can do something here. But if I go into a serve with her serving, and she's hitting first serves, she's up maybe 5 love or 30 love or even 30-15. I'm still on my heels. So what are the decisions I have to make? Do I overexert myself and try to win that game, or do I kind of just try to stay with her and see if there's any openings? And if there's not, okay, fine, I go into my service game. I didn't blow my load and spend all my energy. I can focus on holding, and there's going to be another game where she serves again. We'll find an opening there. I just have to make sure that I don't give her any more openings on my serve, because I can't afford to go down another break again. But eventually I do get that opening. I go up a break. I don't remember what the score was. It probably was 4-3 in my favor on the break. I'm not entirely sure. But again, this is now another big business decision I have to make, and that's, do I focus just heavily on holding my serves and winning that way, or do I look to kind of break again? And with how hot it was, how much energy I didn't have, my business decision was, I'm going to solely focus on serves, on my serve. Maybe if I go up, if I find myself up, let's say, a love 30 on her serve, because of maybe a double fault and one unforced error, maybe I'll think about converting another break. But I don't want to fall into a trap of staying too long in her service game and using way too much of my energy, if that makes any sense. Because in this Florida heat, too long of a point can ruin you for 2, 3, even 4 games before you finally feel like you've got that, gotten your breath back or that wind back in your sails again. If that makes any sense. Again, too, I'm also looking at her the whole time like, okay, where's her energy level at? It's not just about my energy, it's, her. Is she, how much is she feeling the heat? How much energy does she have? Maybe if I am up love 30 on her serve, and she's looking a little sluggish, maybe I do want to drop the hammer down and like, let's go toe-to-toe a little bit, and I will try to get this game. I will risk it a little bit. Another problem with this heat and high humidity of Florida is sweat too. I mean, most of these points, my grip is just absolutely drenched, and I can't take full swings because my grip is, it's every time I hit, it moves just a little bit because of the sweat. It's not firmly in my hand. So you gotta also do your best at managing the sweat that's being accumulated on your grip. There's a few things you can do, one of which is whenever you're not in a point, you're not holding on to the handle. You're gripping the top of, you're holding on to the frame is the best thing you can do. So you're not adding sweat. Another thing you can do, I mean, obviously wristbands, obviously toweling off, but that's not always going to be a foolproof plan. Another thing is this works kind of well on clay and kind of well on hard court, is taking your hand and just wiping the court pretty much with your hand and getting as much grit onto your hand as possible. Sounds weird, but it does help kind of like add a little texture to your grip and you can hold on to it a little bit. Clay court works really good, but the problem, it eventually turns to mud, and now it's like a muddy, slippery kind of thing. Hard court's good. You're going to pick up mostly stuff that's not going to turn into mud, but it's not. You're not going to get the best out of it, but it's one way of being able to manage your sweat. Another thing is, hey, you're just going to have to use 2, 3 rackets. Once one grip gets super sweaty and you change over, keep the racket out, switch rackets, change to another one that's a fresh grip, and put the other one out in the sun to dry off, and you're just constantly changing throughout the games. And then there's going to be days where none of that works, and it's just, I mean, muggy and sweaty, and you got to go into your head like, hey, I can't hit as hard as I normally do today. It's just not going to happen. I got to slow everything down and really rely on my tennis IQ. Rely on creating points and that chess game of just getting the ball out of their swing zone and out of the danger zone, and hope that maybe they're having the same problem, and eventually they kind of overcommit and start missing because their grip is too sweaty and they're trying to overhit the ball. And maybe you only have like 2, 3, hopefully 4 wristbands that you can wear, and just like with the racket thing, every changeover you're switching wristbands, and you're putting the sweaty ones, you're wringing them out, and you're keeping them in the sun to dry off, and you're just kind of you're exchanging them every time. They might not be fully dry, they still might be soggy, but it's better than what they were, and you're really just trying to mitigate all of the problems. You're never going to be 100% perfect, but how well can we mitigate the problems on court? And at the end of the day, grip strength too helps. Maybe it's a theory of mine, but maybe you really want to work on grip strength to be able to hold that racket when everything is starting to slip a little bit because of the sweat. I've never really thought of that before until now, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe a weak grip really is not beneficial, and you want to work on being able to have like that just Hulk grip on the racket to where even if it is sweaty, it's not going anywhere, and you're not going to burn out your grip either. But anyways, alright, just some thoughts. If any of that made sense, cool. If it doesn't, feel free to let me know. Later.